In the late 1960s, a killer in Northern California did something almost no other serial killer in history has done. He wrote to the newspapers. He taunted the police. He sent in coded messages, daring anyone to crack them. He gave himself a name, Zodiac. More than 50 years later, his identity has never been officially confirmed. One of his ciphers wasn't solved until 2020. 2 others remain unsolved to this day. On the night of December 20th, 1968, a teenage couple, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, were parked on a rural road outside Vallejo, California. They were shot and killed. There was no warning, no robbery, no clear motive. 6 months later, on July 4th, 1969, another young couple was attacked at a golf course parking lot nearby. Darlene Ferrin was killed. Her companion, Michael Mageau, survived despite being shot multiple times and was able to give police a description. A month after that attack, local newspapers received letters. The writer claimed responsibility for both attacks and included details only the killer could have known. He signed off with a crossed circle symbol that would become his signature. He also included a piece of a cipher split across 3 different newspapers and demanded it be published on the front page, or he'd kill again. This is what sets this case apart from almost any other in American criminal history. The 3-part cipher sent in July 1969, now known as the 408-symbol cipher, was cracked within a week, not by the FBI but by a high school teacher and his wife working from their home, using pencil and paper. The decoded message was chilling. It described the killer's motive in his own words, that killing people was to him more enjoyable than killing animals, because man was the most dangerous animal of all. He claimed the people he killed would become his slaves in the afterlife. But that wasn't his only cipher. Over the following years, he sent additional coded messages, a 340-character cipher in 1969 and a shorter 13-character cipher in 1970. The 340 cipher stumped cryptographers, amateur and professional alike, for over 51 years. It was finally solved in December 2020 by a team of 3 code breakers from different countries, working independently before combining their findings. Its message, once decoded, was almost anticlimactic. A taunting statement about not fearing the gas chamber because it would send him to paradise faster. The 13-character cipher sent in 1970 remains unsolved to this day. Through 1969, the Zodiac claimed additional victims. In September, he attacked a couple at Lake Berryessa, stabbing both. The young woman, Cecilia Shepard, died from her injuries, while her companion, Brian Hartnell, survived. This time, the killer wore a strange costume, a black hood with a crossed circle symbol on the chest, resembling an executioner. In October 1969, a San Francisco cab driver named Paul Stein was shot and killed in the city. This murder happened close to a police patrol, and officers actually stopped and briefly spoke with a man matching the suspect's description near the scene, before realizing too late that they may have had the killer in front of them and let him walk away. After this, confirmed Zodiac attacks stopped, although he continued sending letters, some claiming additional unconfirmed victims, into the 1970s. Over the decades, investigators and amateur researchers have proposed numerous suspects, but no one has ever been definitively proven in a court of law to be the Zodiac killer. The most widely discussed suspect is Arthur Lee Allen, a Vallejo resident who was investigated extensively by police and profiled in Robert Graysmith's best-selling book on the case. Allen matched some witness descriptions and had, according to acquaintances, made disturbing comments before the killings began. However, DNA testing conducted in the 2000s on envelope samples did not conclusively match Allen, and he died in 1992 without being charged. In 2021, a group of independent investigators calling themselves the Case Breakers announced they had identified a different suspect, Gary Francis Post, based on circumstantial evidence. However, law enforcement agencies, including the San Francisco Police Department, publicly stated the case remained open and unproven, and many longtime Zodiac researchers strongly disputed the claim. The truth is, despite decades of DNA advances that have cracked far older cold cases, the physical evidence in the Zodiac case has never produced a conclusive, universally accepted match to any single suspect. Several factors make this case uniquely difficult. The killer operated across multiple jurisdictions, which in the 1960s meant different police departments weren't always sharing information efficiently. Physical evidence from the era was collected and preserved with far less rigor than modern forensic standards, and the killer's own behavior added confusion. He sent dozens of letters over the years, some almost certainly fake copycats, which muddied the trail for investigators trying to separate genuine communication from hoaxes. Modern investigators have revisited the case using updated DNA testing and genetic genealogy, the same technique that helped identify the Golden State Killer decades after his crimes. As of now, this approach has not produced a confirmed identification in the Zodiac case, though efforts continue. More than 5 decades later, the Zodiac Killer's true identity remains one of the most famous unanswered questions in American criminal history. A 13-character message still sits undeciphered. A killer who wanted attention, who taunted police and press alike, ultimately got the one thing he may not have wanted: to become a permanent, unresolved mystery rather than a captured man with a face and a name. If you find cases like this fascinating, let me know in the comments which unsolved mystery you want covered next, and subscribe, because we're just getting started uncovering the places history forgot.